In the studio, we have been joined by the Alliance Democratic Party, the NDA Flagbearer, Mohamed, who is here to talk about his plans, as presidential candidate for the National Democratic Alliance in Leone in Leone. Good morning, Mr. Ban. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning, Lamrana. First of all, my party is National Democratic Alliance.
The NDA.
Yeah, and I like my middle initial, Mohamed Siba.
Mohamed, the
that
C
makes it more
C is for
customized.
The C.
Cherno Bar.
Okay, so
yeah,
that's
you gotta have that Cherno in there, man.
That's what gets the voters to understand who they will be voting for.
That is correct.
That is accepted. So our producers are listening; they will add the C to the name. Yes. But once more, welcome to the show. And
thank you, sir.
Is it safe to say you're already the presidential candidate of the NDA?
Absolutely, it's official.
Okay, you've been endorsed by the party.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. The NDA itself, looking at its governance structure, its democratic values, what does it stand for?
Well, first of all, the NDA is the third oldest political party in Sierra Leone. It's a party born out of an ideology, the ideology of a nation-first concept, compared to these other splinter parties that came out of grievances and disagreements. Our foundation is based on ideology. We believe that in Sierra Leone, for us to move forward, we have to have an ideology. An ideology in believing that we are Sierra Leonean first, that as a mosaic nation, we need to have the ability to come together and have a national purpose. So that is the foundation of the NDA.
And, the ideology of nationalism and oneness, political parties are clearly aligned, either regionally or, with a certain tribe of people, either their leaders or the makeup of their national executives and all of that. But with the NDA, where do you stand?
Well,
with who or where could you be identified with?
Well, for us, we are multi-ethnic based. In fact, the NDA is the only political party in Sierra Leone that compasses all the ethnic group. And that's my vision. That's why I'm running for president. I'm running because for us to achieve our social service aspirations, we have to collectively have a sense of national unity. So one of my first platforms is to create a sense of unity. Like you earlier said on your program, disagreement is okay. But we have to think at Sierra Leone. We have to govern based on issues. We have to appoint people in position of authority based on qualifications and merits. So for me, those are some of the criteria that I'm looking. Those are some of the things that I think I can bring to the national scene.
Before Zulai comes in, I just want to ask quickly, it's very clear that the NDA as a party has been identified with the Fula tribe. Successively, the leaders, the presidential candidates have been people from the Fula tribe. Are you shying away from that?
No. There is the perception. Because of our brothers in the north, who has a political party that's associated with Northerners, and our brothers in the south, their political parties is associated with ethnic groups from the south. Incidentally, because the NDA has been, the flag bearers of the NDA has been affiliated to an ethnic group, there's that general perception. But what qualifies a political party to be affiliated to a particular ethnic group is how they govern, their appointment base, the structure of their executive, and even the culture within that organization. For the NDA, it's opposite. Yes, this particular ethnic group has maybe 5 executive members, but majority are multi-ethnic. The base of the party, in fact, are non-related people from that ethnic group. Our largest voting bloc are more multi-ethnic than the other political parties. And here is a danger, and we've seen it. We've seen why ethnicity has been our problem in Sierra Leone. We've seen why regionalism has been a problem. Because most of the traditional political parties in Sierra Leone tend to draw their base support from ethnic group. And that's what's creating this problem of national cohesion, because people are thinking ethnic instead of thinking nation.
Okay, I want to take you to the issue of corruption. First of all, what do you think of in terms of how this present government has handled, corruption practices, before I go further into that?
Well, one of the biggest problems in Sierra Leone and in sub-Saharan Africa is corruption. It is, in fact, one of the problems that is draining our economy. And corruption occurs when we have a leadership issue, because you cannot have a country where there is no accountability and transparency, where the resources of the country is not being managed effectively to impact social services and make the life of the people better. As far as let's talk about the elephant in the room. We have widespread corruption in Sierra Leone. We can deny that. But here is my focus. If I have the opportunity to serve Sierra Leone, I will provide the leadership where there is a zero tolerance to corruption. And it's not by words, it's by building the institutions, creating the environment. For example, ministries, departments, and agencies, by now, we need to be digitalized, okay? We need to have what you call a cashless transaction and activities. We need to have a strong audit system in this country, an institution that is able to get a scope where every activities that we do here. So corruption is, addressing that issue of corruption is not only talking about it, and also people think we can address corruption by legislation. It doesn't work that way. I think we can address corruption also by improving the conditions of services of our people, paying them.
The reason why I asked that, because I think it was 2 weeks back, the Institute of Governance Reform, they are on their plans to give the citizens manifesto. That's what citizens want.
Right.
And one of the recommendations that were there is that they need presidential aspirants to, show what they have, to put it forward before and after election. So as a unity party, because it seems as if there's little or no belief in those who stand for presidential, positions. That's why they're asking for presidential candidates to submit what they have. Do you buy that idea?
Yes, I think it's a great idea. And I do understand why there is a little trust in the public today. It's because of the experiences. I think anybody who is aspiring for the highest office needs to declare their assets, needs to show their income, if they have any wealth, so that during their course of their presidency, the people of this country would know that, their wealth was not immersed by any act of corruption.
I'm going to refer to you as Cherno because it seems as if you like the name and you put a lot of respect to it. So, Cherno, what sets you apart? What makes you different in this very corruption that you say as a party and as a leader of the NDA you can tackle?
Well, what sets me apart is my orientation. Born in this country, I have known government after government having this problem of resource management. Born in this country, knowing that people who aspire to lead are focused on what is good for them and not what is good for Sierra Leone. Now, a product of this country, I have realized that it is time for us to take a different angle. You know what? I believe that if I could turn this country around, if I could move this country from a low-income country to an upper-middle country, like Ghana, for example, like Mauritius, like Seychelles, you understand? I don't need the money from Sierra Leone. The books that I will write, the speeches that I would do will make me a millionaire. So I have that orientation that day one when I get to office, it's about the people of Sierra Leone.
Will you declare your assets?
Absolutely.
Okay, before the elections.
Before the election,
Let me bring you back to the NDA itself. Are you aware that the party, there is a court issue with the party challenging the decision of making you a flag bearer?
Well, look, you cannot go to State House without passing through the High Courts. Every presidential candidate go through that process. But there are mediation process, and we're working towards that. I, as a leader, believe that everybody should be part of the process. I have gone to the process where, like, if you want a position, come and take the position. But the focus here is...
And others are challenging that. They're saying...
there is a lot of progress. There is a lot of progress, and I think...
You're mediating, is that? You're taking the matter out of court? So I can recall, same happened with the NDA. It was in 2012 or 2018 when the party was unable to even, you know, field a presidential candidate to contest the election. And you're still in court again. And we're less than 3 months to elections.
Lamrana, there is no political party in Sierra Leone that doesn't go to court. So that's not a new thing. I mean, we know what happened to the APC. So, but the focus is, my vision for Sierra Leone is that I want to work in building a better economy. Today, if you look at our country, our GDP is not growing.
Now, I'll come to ask you about your plans, the economy. I just want us to talk about the democracy within the NDA, because political parties need to be democratic, need to be transparent as well, because you're vying for national leadership. The NDA itself, how you know, open it is, you know, to other people, to other nationals, other tribes. Earlier I asked you about the NDA being a party that is affiliated to the Fula tribe, and successively the example has been the presidential candidates of the party have been people from the Fula tribe. How you know, nationalistic is the party?
The party is broad-based and multi-ethnic. Number one, I am challenging all the other political parties, including the 2 traditional parties, right? Let's look at the structure of our executive. When you look at the structure of the executive of the NDA, it is more multi-ethnic and more regional based than the other political parties. But I don't want us to also forget that, what about our brothers in the South and the Southeast? The history. All Southern based, all one ethnic group based. What about our brothers from the North? So, but I cannot tell you that we have internal democratic processes. The party is open to all Sierra Leoneans. Like I said to you, the structure of the executive is multi-ethnic based. This particular tribe that the perception is made about, guess what? Is the minority within the organization, within the political party. Is that the case with the other traditional party? Absolutely no.
With the party already in court, with this court matter, is it still safe to say you're the presidential candidate, or
of
should we, because someone is challenging?
No, we don't have any court injunction, Lamrana. We don't have anything that's stopping us from performing our activities. This is a matter that is in court, but there is a mediation, and I can assure you very soon that would be resolved. But I can tell you officially that I am the candidate who will be contesting under the NDA party.
Who will you prefer to run with as your running mates? We already have the gender empowerment, the gender women empowerment bill that is proposing, you know, for more women to be appointed in elective position or other position as well. Will you be running with a woman? Will you prefer?
Absolutely, absolutely. We are the first political party that started that process. In fact, for us, our running mate is by default a woman, because we value women. We started the women empowerment before gender bill, before all the whistles are being blown about women. By default, our running mate is always a woman, because we value women. We feel that we are missing out as a nation because we're not involving the women.
You already have a woman in mind, or you've appointed?
There is a process, and very soon we will make that announcement.
You know, since independence, 2 political parties have governed Sierra Leone, excuse me, the APC and the SLPP. We are going into elections now, come June 24th. Do you truly believe, you know, the NDA can win an election in Sierra Leone, taking into consideration the provinces and your divergence into all of those areas?
Yes, I do. I do. You know, I have to confess, you know, the people of Sierra Leone have a fatal attraction with the APC and the SLPP. That's been the history. I do understand that. I do understand that when you have a fatal attraction, just like a woman having a fatal attraction to a man, there's always an abuse and there's always a bad experience. But one day, that woman will get up and say, you know, no more. I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to be part of this experience. I think this time around, the people of this country will make a better choice of saying that, why do we continue to do the same thing over and over and get the same results? Why can't we bet on the NDA? Why can't we bet on the NDA? NDA building a coalition of experienced and qualified Sierra Leoneans to address the issues of this country, to address the issue of corruption, building the economy, working on energy security, which would be one of my top primary focus. Because, you know, if I can say quickly on that, Sierra Leone, we have only 100 megawatts of electricity generation, a population of 8 million. And let me come to sub-Saharan Africa. Ghana, okay, we're in the same sub-region. They have 5,130 megawatts, okay? Senegal, 1,130. Ivory Coast, 2,230, okay? Do you know Ghanaians? 90% of Ghanaians have access to electricity. In Sierra Leone, 26%. And this problem is not only 5 years, 10 years. We're talking about for the past 30 years in Sierra Leone. I want to change that.
You know, it's very easy to call out figures, statistics. That's what they will say, those in governance, that yes, when you're not in power, it's very easy to do all those differences and calculations. But I want to draw your attention to, you know, your fan base or your popularity in terms of your connection with those in the diaspora. They play a great role when it comes to politics, when it comes to election. They get to feed a lot of information to Sierra Leoneans, and, you know, easily information is sent and it goes viral. How effective have you been, or do you have a very strong fan base with the diaspora?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is not my first time aspiring. I have been perhaps 2 election cycles. I have been consistent because I believe in the people of Sierra Leone. I have been consistent because I'm not doing this for showmanship. I genuinely have a commitment to building this country. I believe that Sierra Leone, the focus is not diaspora or Sierra Leonean from the home base. It's how do we fight corruption? How do we stop this poverty condition that our people are facing? How do we come together, not seeing ourselves as pockets of tribes and region, but how do we strategically sit down and address the issues of water problem, the issue of electricity, the issue of job employment for people. Those are very serious issues that I'm very determined, because I have a commitment to building a better Sierra Leone.
As you mentioned, in 2018, the NDA had around 8,000 of the vote, 0.3%. Mm-hmm. Well, you contested, you were
yes.
the presidential candidate.
Correct.
And you defeated few other political parties, but you had 0.3% of the total vote in that election. What has changed? You know, 5 years down the line, you contest, you say you're already the flag bearer, the presidential candidate of the
right.
party. What has changed? What the hopes of you winning?
A lot of change, because is Sierra Leone where we want Sierra Leone to be? How are the people of Sierra Leone thinking? Are they ready to try something different? Are they ready to try something new? So I think there is a window of opportunity for us as a political party. First of all, it's 17 political parties. Mm-hmm. Remember, we had 6 positions out of that. Mm-hmm. Okay? I think that's very important. And also, we've been as a political party for the past 28 years. And that's why I'm calling on these electoral institutions to be very focused on a principle-based system. That is to say, let's open up the political space. Free and fair elections does not only come at the ballot box, it's a process. You have Guinea-Bissau, they have over 17 political parties. You have Gambia, they have more than 18 political parties. Let us as a country open our political space. The international community is watching us. Our development partners are watching us. Our participation, when we create an environment of inclusion, participation, and representation, that defines the democratic credentials that we have as a country.
Are you into this to win an election, or you're into this, say, let me come and contest? It's adding to my CV, it's adding to me as an individual, because the way the party performed in the last election, and with what you're saying of hopes of winning the election, one may want to ask, how do you intend to win this election?
Do you know, in life, everything is possible? Everything in life is possible.
There are things that are not possible as well.
So to tell me
that you're very realistic about
that NDA cannot win an election is impossible, I think that would be a false narrative.
No, I'm not saying it's impossible.
What
I'm asking,
saying,
how do you intend to win the election? I just mentioned the percentage you pulled in the last election.
That's a fair
and
question.
It's 5 years.
That's a fair question. How do I intend to win the election? First of all, is to have the platform to share to the people of Sierra Leone that we have a better idea than the other political parties. Secondly, is galvanization, campaign, having more effective platform, reaching out to the people. Now, we believe time and circumstances favors us because the condition and plight of the people of Sierra Leone has not been better, okay? So I think we need to reach out to the people and let them understand that Sierra Leone, we have a path to building this country and creating a better future for Sierra Leone.
You speak of rallies, well, as you put it, campaigns, and I'm sure you're aware that the PPRC, you know, has put a ban on, supposedly to put a ban on rallies and the likes, and to, you know, interchange it with, you know, town hall meetings. How do you feel about, again, taking into consideration your percentage of people you get to speak to?
Well, I do think that if we can converge in areas where we can reach out our base, we can do a door-to-door campaign. Door-to-door campaign, that's an effective form of communicating with the people, okay? I think we as a party, we're sitting down and designing creative ways in reaching out to our base and talking to the people.
Okay, now I want to take your attention, you know, to a new ministry created by this government, which is the Environmental Ministry. Taking into consideration environmental best practices and global warming and where Sierra Leone finds itself, you go along the beaches, you get to see seaweed and the like. These are all emerging factors that we need to give importance. What are your plans in those areas, environmental best practices?
Yeah, first of all, part of our manifestos, which we'll be launching very soon, is that one of our problems as a country, we have bloated government. Bloated government in the sense, first of all, why do we need 36 cabinets? If I have the opportunity to serve this country, you're talking about we're going to have 15 ministries, not even 36. I will go to the pre-Tijan Kaba's cabinet setup. Okay, that's multi-ethnic. Now, coming to the question of environmental policies, I think that is a very important strategic program because look at our location right by the coast. Most of the time during the rainy season, we have this flooding going on. So I don't think we've had a national program where we can address these flooding issues. So number one, even our building code, how do we build our homes? Do they meet international standards? Are they in compliance with our environmental hazard? So some of the things that I would do is to have a proactive environmental policies. First, we need to have, we need to be able to look at how do we address our weather patterns. For example, we know that this is a season for heavy downpour of rain. What is going to be our forecast? What is going to be our arrangement? So there is a lot of logistical planning. But if you look at that ministry, new ministries, probably it's $200,000 to $300,000 budget. So they are underfunded, and they don't have the capacity to be able to be operational. I would make sure that those departments are funded effectively.
I want to ask you about, education and the economy. I recall reading one of the articles you wrote about human capital development and education, and you've also been writing about the economy in Sierra Leone. But let's start with the free quality education, which is one of the flagship projects of this government. In your own assessment, do you think it's something, if you become president, you'll want to continue with as president of this country?
Yes, yes. I think that is one of the most serious commitment that this government has pursued. I do agree that human development capital is a very important sector. We have to make sure. Now, we're spending $150 million, okay? But I want us to kind of look at what's relatively the impact that it has created. Has it created an impact where the quality of our education has improved? The quality of our teaching service have improved? Okay, we have to assess that. Have we been able to build the infrastructure where we have more classrooms, teachers are trained? Because if we say we have a feeding program, that's just one aspect of it, okay? If we say that we have free school fees, why are parents still paying school fees here? There are some overhead costs. But overall, I can say that the high enrollment of girls into this program, I think that's a very good thing for us as a country.
What will you do differently?
What I would do differently is I would put more investment in education. I would build the infrastructure, more classroom, training of more teachers. And also, one thing that I would do different is we need to have a vocational and technical based type of education. Let's have Sierra Leoneans become carpenters, electricians. Have 1 year, 2 year program so that they can have jobs. Construction workers, right? I would focus on that. I would invest heavily.
You spoke about building more classrooms, more teachers and all of that. Where do you intend to get the money from? Because the challenge this government has been talking about, even though they increase funding, you know, budgetary allocation to the education sector, there's still challenges of getting more money to invest in the sector. Where do you intend to get the money from?
Well, first of all, I am going to change the strategy in the way we get money. My government is not going to focus on a donor-based type of economy where we wait for development partners. Now, let me look at one specific area, which is mining. And I want to look at one specific area. There is, when the iron ore is processed here, there is a residue of something they call slag and what's the other thing? And ash. The European Union, just 2022, our export earning was $267 million. This is just one mineral, okay? Listen, man, we need to be high net exporters. That's where I'm going to get the money. We need to ramp up these mining sectors, okay? And also 2 areas that we have not focused on, tourism and fishing. You have countries like Mauritius, countries like Seychelles. That's their largest export revenue base. So I'm not going to sit down here and wait for development partners to give me money. I'm going to ramp up the mining sector. I'm going to invest in tourism. I'm going to invest in fisheries, okay? We're not going to be talking about millions of dollars of revenue, billions of dollars of revenues. Okay. So we have the money.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the economy as well. It's one sector you've been writing and talking about, you know, even in the last election. One of the most critical issues presently being discussed is the economy, the state of the economy, the livelihood of the people as well, the standard of living. What's your position on that, and what do you intend to do to address it if you become president?
First of all, I think we need to be an export-earning nation. Okay? Last year, our revenue is $190 million, and we went and spent $590 million. Okay? Our GDP, $4.6 billion for 8 million people, and for the type of resources we have, is too small. So that's why we don't have the money. So here's what I would do. Number one, the baseline for an economy, number one is GDP growth. We have 2.9% of our GDP growth. You're talking about since 2003 up, we were making 5 to 6% GDP growth. So for us to be able to increase the GDP growth, we have to invest in the mining sector. We have to export mining, tourism, like I was saying, fisheries, and also agriculture as well, as a matter of fact. So what I would do different is encourage private investment in Sierra Leone, encourage multinational investment in Sierra Leone, okay? Begin to improve export revenue in the country, and then create job opportunities.
What are the policies that you'll do, or what are the laws that you'll enact to achieve that? Because you need policies, you definitely need some laws, you know, that will perhaps attract foreign direct investments to come to the country. Presently, what's your assessment of the present status of our economy in this country?
Well, I mean, the state of the economy, if you look at the 5 fastest growing economies, Sierra Leone is not part of that. Rwanda, you look at Ivory Coast, you look at Benin, you look at countries like Ethiopia and Tanzania, we're not there, okay? Our economy has not been doing well. But building an economy, Lamrana, it's not through legislation. It's to having a strategic policy approach. And the policy approach is here, like I was saying, we need to be an export earning. Now, one of a serious commitment recently that I like that this government did was the trade agreement that we made with the UK. That is how you begin to build an economy. Now, if we see the potential that we had, okay, with the European Union, 267 million, why can't we have a projection that in 2023, we are going to look at building a $1 billion export revenue from there, okay? So here is the point. Building an economy is not through legislation. It's a commitment. Building an economy is for government to sit down and have a strategic planning and allocating resources and implementing it.
And it has to do with creating jobs as well. What's your plan of addressing the level of unemployment in the country?
When you become an export earning country, job is created. When you attract multinational investment, job is created. When you expand the mining sector, job is created. When you support the private sector, job is created. So that's how you create jobs. But job is only created in Sierra Leone is when you go to government, okay? We have, let me tell you, 5.4 million acres of land in this country. Do you know only 10% is being cultivated in this country? We are not even investing in agriculture. We can create millions of jobs in that sector. So that's the way how we go. Okay,
let's talk about, you know, particularly youth and our culture in terms of maintaining our, you know, civic responsibility. You know, studies have shown that the lack of interest in civic responsibility and the likes are some of, you know, contributing factors that makes the youth, you know, disinterested when it comes to politics and the likes. What would be your plans in terms of, you know, speaking to the minds of Sierra Leoneans, youth generally, on, you know, being involved and being interested into those civic responsibilities?
You know, I understand the young people. How would you feel when you have one government after another promising you all these things? At the end of the day, even when you call your parliamentarian the panody, how do you feel? The Sierra Leonean, the young Sierra Leonean have had the condition where they've been living in poverty. So how can you make them believe?
Don't you think that to have a poverty mindset?
Well, first of all, the poverty mindset comes from the culture of education. How many of our young people go to school? Even those who are graduates, right? How many of them come down and get a job? So that's why what I was saying earlier is, which I have very good experience in, let's build a good economy. Now, one of the problems that I think we have in this country, we have been focusing in looking at ourselves as the problem. Our problem as Sierra Leoneans, not the other Saloman, not your problem. but we're not looking at the poverty condition that we face as a country. The mindset of us thinking as ethnic groups, not thinking as a nation. When we have a position of trust, we don't build the integrity and the transparency to manage those resources that benefit our people. We have to look at even access to energy. We can, for the past 30 years, I was a little kid in Connaught district, okay? I was dancing when I see lights. You talking, I'm 50-something years old. We still have a problem. So we have a decades and decades of problem. Like for energy security, let me talk about what I can do to address that problem. One of the things that I intend to do, okay, is first, identify, like the dams. We have more than 5 dams here. One of the reasons why Ghana have over 5,000 and something megawatts is because Nkrumah, over the years, for how many years ago, built a big dam, okay? We have reservoirs of dam in this country that we need to have the money through the export revenues that we are going to have and build dams. Okay, we need thermal energy. We need solar energy. So the question is, create the revenue, have the money, and then build the infrastructure and then utilize the service. So I see why the young people in this country are disenchanted. Because what has been the results? They dance every elections, but what's in the results? So to me, I want to make a commitment, a very serious commitment, that if I have the opportunity to serve the people of this country, we are going to address specifically the issues. We are going to build a government that looks like Sierra Leone. It is no longer going to be a South or a North, because that's what's affecting our national cohesion. We have to accept that. We are not thinking as Sierra Leoneans. We are thinking from the South. In fact, I can tell you, growing up in Connaught district, I never know my tribe. It's when I started running elections in Sierra Leone that I consciously know that I belong to this tribe. That was the culture that I grew up into. But now, we're thinking and behaving as tribe. And that is a tragedy as a country. So one of my first platform, we need to come together, okay? Look at Ghana, man. Look at these other countries. They are doing, look at Senegal. I had a Senegalese friend of mine, a co-worker. I asked him, why is Senegal, you guys tend to work together, tend to be a people that are nation-driven? He said, because we have an outstanding religious leaders in our country. When our religious leaders speak, we all listen as young people. So I think it's about time we go the old-fashioned way.
This election is on the proportional representation, the district block system. Will the NDA be filling candidates in every area, local council, parliament, and all of that?
Yeah, we are strategically reviewing it. I think also, and I would like to appeal to the Electoral Commission here, that we need to create a mechanism where it's more inclusive, more participatory, because now, I don't know if you guys know, for example, in the Western area, if we have 30 constituencies, you have to fill 30 plus another 30, which is 60 times 3 million leones. It's a cost burden. You understand? Yes, but we as a party,
so you mean the fees,
intending,
the nomination fees, is too much?
No, it's not the nomination, it's the number. Like having a 30 candidates who will be filling, and then you have to have a 30 reserve.
Okay.
So that combines it to 60. So that increased the amount. So I think for other smaller political parties, that would be a problem. I think that needs to be revisited.
What do you think about the percentage, the threshold?
The threshold also needs to shrink down a little bit. Because here is what we need to look at. Elections is not about winners or losers. Elections is about building structures and institutions that can sustain, that can be there. And let's don't forget, people are going to judge us by the strength of our institutions, by the way we conduct elections. So I don't think we need to have this mindset of just catering to two political parties. This is we have a multi-party democracy, and that's what our 1991 Constitution prescribed.
Quickly, as we round up, I have two important messages here. The first one is from Swissman, and it says, if you have the opportunity to serve Sierra Leone, when someone is corrupt, will you implement jail term punishment on corrupt politician, or will you suggest to resolve the matter out of court like what the current government is doing? What's your first take on that?
If the law will take its course?
Yes, jail term, particularly
jail time.
For corrupt politicians.
That is correct.
You stand by that?
I stand by that, correct.
Okay, and finally, there's another one that says, I should ask you if you have a garden in Sierra Leone. That's definitely on the agricultural best practices we were speaking on. Do you have a garden, as he puts it?
Yes, I do have a garden in Kono district.
And you farm extensively?
I wouldn't say farm extensively. I have a garden in Sierra Leone, and I intend to expand it and make it one that's good for agricultural purpose.
Finally, you know, we are 3 months or so to elections. How will the NDA be funding its campaign?
Well, it's through membership-based supporters and sympathizers.
Okay, that's how you fund the campaign.
And
you're also a resident in the United States of America, I'm sure.
That is correct.
Are you moving back to come and campaign, or you've moved already?
Hold on. You're going to tell me as a Sierra Leonean I'm moving back?
Yeah, I'm asking. You're a resident.
I'm not moving back. This is home,
what I
brother.
established first was that you are a resident in the United States of America.
Listen, I'm not moving back. I'm a Sierra Leonean. This is my home.
I understand, but people can be dual citizens as well. People can reside in other countries. If they want to come back, they can return to their country. So I'm asking, you're a resident in the United States of America?
Yes, I live in the United States. That is correct.
So I'm asking, have you returned to...
I have returned to Sierra Leone even since the day I left Sierra Leone. Okay.
So finally, as we close with you, what message will you want to give to Sierra Leoneans out there, you know, those, the electorate? We are in the process of people picking up their voters' identification card.
First of all, I would encourage them to go to their centers where they're registered to go and vote. And also, very important, let us have a very peaceful election. All of us have one country. Let us ensure that you have a right to go and vote for whoever your choice of candidate is. Let this election don't be about violence. Peace is the only way. Security is the only way. That's the only path. And also, I want Sierra Leoneans to know that if you have tried something for the past 61 years and you're getting the same results, but now try something else different. Salone, Ivory Coast, Ghana, all these other countries have said, you know what? Now we try something else different. I think this election should be about the people of this country, the people of Sierra Leone saying, you know what? Let us put a bet on the NDA. Let us try Mohamed Siba and see what can he offer Sierra Leone. How can Mohamed Siba focus in creating jobs, building a better economy, creating access to education, jail time for people who are corrupt offenders, recuperating a lot of this money, making Sierra Leone an export-earning country, investing in tourism and fisheries. Let us get better Salone.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Thank you very much, Mohamed Siba, presidential candidate of the National Democratic Alliance, the NDA, and he's been talking to us about his aspiration and why Sierra Leoneans should choose him to be their next president.